and welcome to the Two Dudes Movie Podcast. This week, we're going to be talking about Wandavision Episode 8. As we creep towards the finale, we are getting ready. It's going to be big. I'm trying not to spoil. I was maybe about to say a spoiler, but I didn't spoil it. But spoilers are happening after this. Oh boy.
Oh wow.
Spoilers are coming, so go and watch the episode because it is spoilerific.
Oh yeah, apparently spoilerific's now a word, but sure.
We have discovered the truth.
Parts of it.
I've discovered the truth then. I know exactly what's happening and I'm going to predict everything.
So is benevolent James coming back, is he?
Benevolent, I can't say, but benevolent. I'm coming back. I'm prepared. I'm ready. It's not AIM.
No.
Unless it is.
Unless it is. You're keeping the door open there, just in case. There's a crack.
But Agatha Harkness is, I think by this point, should be confirmed as the big bad of this series.
Yeah.
And that is my key term.
Yeah, that was an interesting... So, obviously, we got introduced to her in Salem, which was quite cool, to be honest. As soon as we saw someone being dragged, I was like, okay, I know where we are, before even the title came up, obviously. Then my girlfriend was like, oh, we're in Salem. And I was like, yeah, that's her origins. We knew it was going to be. I did not expect the Coven and what happened thereafter. And that was a really, okay, there's more here to her that we've not yet seen, which is why I'm going to make the bold prediction straight away and say that although this series will end with Agatha defeated, it won't end with Agatha dying because they've not explained her and the difference between her and the other witches.
I don't know what difference you mean.
The difference between the blue and the purple magic.
The purple is the combination of their magic. We never see her use magic before they start pumping her. Yeah. And I think all the purple magic is the power that has grown. And I think to hint to where I believe this is going beyond the series, again, this is a multiverse trilogy, Wandavision, Spiderman and Doctor Strange. We are going to see Mordo coming in at the end of this series, I think, or somewhere is going to be involved with both Agatha Harkness and Scarlet Witch. I think Agatha Harkness has been doing exactly what Mordo has been doing. Whether they're working together or not, I don't know.
That'd be interesting.
But Dormammu was also purple. A lot of the stuff with the Dark Dimension was purple.
Because that's the thing, they accused her of using dark magic, wasn't it? So that would actually kind of match to the Dark Dimension, to that purpley kind of Dormammu side of things. That would be quite cool.
And I hope to see Mordo, who's been stealing magic, will also then have purple magic.
Yeah.
Again, as opposed to the orange of Doctor Strange and the red of Wanda.
Just colour wars.
Colour wars. Wanda is...
There we go.
The Scarlet Witch.
Now, I hadn't clicked that she hadn't been given this title until Hayward kind of mentioned it. And I do find it quite interesting that Hayward mentioned it. I don't know whether that's just a Marvel prepping us to hear a name and just sort of foreshadowing, or whether it's because he knows a bit more or he's trying to frame her a bit differently.
I would be shocked if Hayward knows anything in regards to this. We will come back to Hayward later and what I think he's doing. I think his story, his plot is completely
separate,
way out of there.
Yeah. Honestly, I think that was a really cool way of tying her into the whole magic thing. Because I think I remember saying either on the podcast or to someone else separately that Wanda's magic was completely different to the likes of Doctor Strange and Agatha, who obviously, as we've seen, and in this episode, it was a big focal point, had to train and learn their magic. Because of the fact it was different for Wanda, I honestly just presumed it was because it wasn't magic. It was... I don't know what to call it, but almost the magic that we see Asgardians use, sort of thing. But actually, in this, we see that actually it is still magic. It's just chaos magic, which of course leads into her being reality and chaos kind of like interlink.
I think something that's important is that, to be fair, Kevin Feige did say a couple of years ago, I believe, that Wanda has the same magic as Doctor Strange, but it's unrefined, it's uncontrolled.
Yeah.
And I think here we're seeing the payoff of that, where we're seeing what Wanda is capable of. And there is something that has been, I think, just personally, just completely misconstrued in this episode. So what this episode takes place is, it's basically a walk along, a flashback through Wanda's life.
Yeah.
And I would just like to say thank you, episode, for confirming I was 100% right, that the adverts are in fact moments throughout her life, as we saw that red blinking light.
Yeah.
And you will never be able to convince me otherwise until they tell us otherwise.
No, it was really interesting, and it certainly was that, I think, the most interesting of those flashbacks. There was two of them. There was one which was
three of them.
No, as in there was two that I really kind of pointed out to me. The first one I want to say was the conversation between Wanda and Vision, which was just, again, masterclass of acting, but just absolutely magically, and pardon the pun, put from the writers of the explanation of grief. Like, that was... And I think that, for me, in one scene, completely sold me on, okay, I now completely understand why Wanda fell in love with Vision, and I completely understand why Wanda was able to move past her brother, and why losing Vision then was such a massive thing to her. Because to have that so perfectly framed in one sentence, which was, I think it was like, grief is just love carrying on.
It's proof that grief is proof that love perseveres.
Yeah, and like that's just, as a writer, that is an incredible line.
I think one thing, to be fair, I would give credit to for Vision throughout every appearance. He often says such poignant things which are just like to the level of, he mentions it in this series, Shakespeare. He mentions Shakespeare, he wants his son to be like Shakespeare. I think Vision says some just profoundly poetic sentences, and he has I think what makes it the most beautiful, he has no concept of how valuable that side of him is, the human aspects that he brings. The Avengers use him for war, and they very much have treated him as a weapon of mass destruction, which he is, but the brain and the melding of both science and humanity that he has been born of, I think just is Vision's worth, is his value. And I think the characters in the universe, and I need to realise that, and I don't think there's enough time spent on making it clear that, yes, Vision is not a weapon, he's a human, but he's a human plus. He has value beyond being human. He has value, if it's nothing to do with being a weapon, just in the way his brain functions. But before we get ahead of ourselves, because I want to talk about the first flashback first.
Okay, go
back to the first one. So in this scene, we see Agatha trying to figure out what's going on. We see that Wanda's love of sitcoms starts here. I thought that was pretty cool.
It was a nice tie-up, and it made complete sense as to why that was then what she reverted back to. Yeah,
it's her little homely comfort. It's her comfort food, if you will. But I thought one thing that was interesting was Agatha says, oh, so you still have magic. Then you were doing a little probability hex.
Yeah. Because that's what she immediately thought that's what it was.
Wanda says no. And just to be clear, unless someone can point to me something that's different, she has no powers at that point. She has nothing. It's Agatha's theory of why they didn't die. But it is not the case. My theory would be that the Infinity Stones that exist in the world, in the universe, keep her alive. Yeah,
because here's the thing about, and I did a bit of research on the Nexus, and the comic origins and stuff like that. So, Wanda in the comics is a character of, I don't know what it's exactly called now, but across all realities, she's a constant, just like the Infinity Stones are. She's a constant. The Scarlet Witch or Wanda Maximoff is always there. She's always got powers, and so I feel like this universe, if we talk it like that, just like people say Destiny and stuff like that, needed her to survive.
Yeah. So that's to where it goes to. I think the next bit we see with the there's 4 flashbacks. The next bit we see with the Hydra base and her being
that was interesting.
I think the thing that she sees of the Scarlet Witch is effectively the Scarlet Witch not possessing, but her gaining those powers, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it was almost like a foresight, this is where you'll go sort of thing.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to see a modern version of a costume like that, just because I think it will be just a bit too corny. However... Well, this is the thing I'd say is one of the things I picked up on from the Coven back at the start is when Agatha's mother was using her magic, she had a magical kind of blue ethereal crown thing that appeared.
Yeah.
I reckon when whatever face-off happens in the final episode, Wanda Maximoff, now Scarlet Witch, when she uses her, Omega form, almost Dark Phoenix-esque kind of power, the magic will form that kind of crown on her head.
That's a good theory. What I think. I hate to knock it to the ground.
No, you don't.
I believe is someone messing with the contrast or something, brightness of that image. You can see it's the same costume that we see in the poster with the new Scarlet Witch costume.
Oh, right.
Red. It's not metal, but the weird whatever material they use in all the bloody Marvel costumes.
Yeah.
It's that, and it's got the exact same belt that you see in that image that we haven't seen before. So I believe that she will, whether it's ethereal or not, whether it's this weird construct, she will have that headdress going forward, and I am so
I'm
ready.
for it. At the end of the day, I'm for
so
Hawkeye
good.
Getting his proper purple costume, but at the end of the day, I'm happy for
Too
that.
far. By the way.
But yeah, so that was a really interesting. So that second flashback though, where she looked terrified, and I think the one thing I would say is credit to Marvel on being able to recreate all these different eras and genuinely get the feel of them, especially when you've got Wanda involved. That is spit an image of when we first saw her at the end credits of, which was
end credits of
Iron Man 3?
Winter Soldier.
I
will just make one point. The little girl who was playing Elizabeth Olsen looked nothing like her, in my opinion.
But we can forgive that.
She was a good actress.
Yeah, she was very good. But anyway, so we see the Mind Stone obviously come out of its shell. I don't know whether that's just because it's almost speaking to her, because we don't see... Because obviously the engineers who are working on it can see into the complex, so they would have obviously not seen anything. They couldn't see exactly what was going on. But obviously the cameras didn't pick anything up.
Well, I think that's interesting, and it goes back to what's currently happening now with the footage that they're getting outside, where every time something goes wrong, it's edited out of the episode on the broadcast, just like it was edited out of their security camera footage. I think the moment it comes open, the Scarlet Witch speaks to her, like you said, that's the constant. It needed Wanda Maximoff to be the host of the Scarlet Witch, and she will now reach her full potential next week. Yeah. I don't think there's a way they will hold off on revealing Scarlet Witch until Doctor Strange, because I think it's the natural conclusion to this story. She needs to become that powerful, in control of herself. Not in control of her magic, but just aware of what she's doing.
Well, this is the thing. I don't know if you want to get into discussing what might happen after this series a bit later. But I think there's some really interesting... This episode for me has completely changed my mind on what might happen. We go then into the third flashback, which was Vision. It's the beginning of their relationship with Vision. It's the beginning of her being back at the Avengers complex.
Set between Age of Ultron and Civil War.
It's literally right after Age of Ultron, I think.
To a degree, but not right after, because they've built the compound. I guess...
No, the compound's been built. Yeah.
But they built the compound. Age of Ultron, the most of the action... Oh, there is the compound, actually. You're right. No, the Avengers Tower. The Avengers compound is not built until after Quicksilver's dead.
Yeah.
Yes, they're in the Avengers Tower at the start. So what I'm saying
but I'm sorry, this is at the end of Age of Ultron.
Yeah, I know. What I'm saying is, there's been some time between Quicksilver's death and this.
Yeah, only a little bit though.
Well, at least a few months, because they built an entire building. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying the end of Age of Ultron takes place sometime after the main action in Age of Ultron. I assume, unless someone can convince me that this building just popped up, which is possible.
Well, no, because it was a Stark Industries building already. That's what the thing.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, it was. Watch Ant-Man.
Yeah, it's there. Ant-Man takes place after Age of Ultron. The end of it.
But it was a Stark Industries building, and then when he then reappears there, it was then turned into a Avengers building. The building was already there though.
It was a warehouse. Anyway, I think it's a few months later. I think that's the point of it. They've all suited up. They've all got into their super suits or whatever. This is between this and Civil War. So that was before Civil War, and as we said, beautiful scene.
Yeah.
We then move forward into her entering Sword.
Yeah, and now this is where it got really interesting for me, because obviously Hayward had painted her as a villain. Hayward had shown this footage, and it's actually... So this sprung up a couple of conversations between me and my girlfriend. One was, okay, where did Hayward get that doctored footage from? But of course, if they're able to take apart a vibranium skeleton, they can doctor a few images. But it opened the question of AI. Does sentience make something a living being?
Well, it doesn't really matter, I guess, in terms of Sword, because they deal in sentient weaponry. So
they just think he's a defunct machine, whereas for her, Vision was a person. But
I don't think they do think that. I think they do not hold that value. So we see Wanda arrive, deciding she's going to get Vision because he deserves to be buried.
Yeah.
She deserves to see that body. Something that I think is really important to note here is they have had his body for somewhere around 5 years.
Yeah.
She snapped, appeared back, and then went to get his body.
Yeah.
This is also... So this is a week or two, I can't remember the exact timeline, after they've snapped back.
Mm-hmm.
Hayward is aware that she would probably be coming. I find it really creepy that his office just moves onto a room where they're operating on him. And I was like, that's so gross. And then I realised, no, it isn't. They've been doing this for years. This is his most important project. This is probably, basically, if this falls apart, Sword is done.
Yeah.
And he makes the mistake of saying to Wanda, and I think this was his mistake, is he says that's £3 billion worth of vibranium.
That's all that matters to him.
Which is all that matters, which is what we think, or are led to think at that point, is all that matters to him.
Yeah, for me...
But I think this was a very clever moment, as we know later on, of him trying to use that to his advantage, to get Wanda into custody.
Yeah.
Because she then attacks.
Yeah. So for me, this scene completely cemented in my head that Hayward is a dick.
I don't think he is. I think he's really smart.
He manipulated her. He completely played on her insecurities, and it doesn't matter whether you were doing that for a reason. It's an immoral move.
No, it's immoral, but I think calling him that makes it seem like he was just a mean person who really wants Vision. I think he's doing that because we later see, and I think this is really important, Wanda flies in, she breaks the glass, she goes over to him, she touches his face, and then she leaves. She does not take Vision, which is what we were told in episode 4, I guess it was, when we see the flashbacks, happened.
Yeah.
Hayward tells Monica that Wanda took Vision.
Yeah.
She did not. That means that the Vision that she has created, as we see later, I'm getting a bit ahead, is a construct. But what's more important is that it means that he never lost Vision.
Mm-hmm.
And so he needed her to attack to give effectively... I think he changed motives, but I think at the first point, the reason he needed her to attack was to provoke her and to be able to take her into the sentient weapons program, to take control of her.
Yeah.
And maybe they would have gone and picked her up later. What I think he later found out was that because she had created another one, he could use this as an example. So no, we've lost the first one. This is the same Vision.
Yeah.
Same one moniker.
Well, this is the thing I found really interesting. So there's that moment where she goes, I can't feel you. She's trying to read his mind. That really... Again, I'm kind of picking out these moments because acting-wise and emotional-wise, this Marvel TV show, which everyone kind of went was just going to be a bit of ridiculousness and a bit of fun, has serious, I'd say, Oscar potential for, honest to God, top-level acting.
Golden Globe.
Golden Globe. But her acting is phenomenal, and it is just, honest to God, perfect emotional beats, which the most serious of TV shows will try and replicate, because it's just so good.
But I've forgotten what I've seen pictures of on Twitter was she's actually said a few times, I think in all their romantic appearances, I just feel you.
Yeah.
That's the thing she says to him, or he says to her.
Yeah.
And to have that as I can't feel you, because I think, again, she's got this chaos magic. She doesn't just see him as a human and someone she can talk to. She feels more of his emotion. We know she has a level of telepathy.
Yeah.
What that is was really been very vaguely touched on, but we know she has some level of telepathy, and I think she's had that connection to him, which is why when it's ripped away and she has lost him, and we go to a place which would have been their home, which Vision bought for her.
Oh, God, that was a gut punch.
We see her break down, create the hex, but also create Vision. Now, something I found interesting was while the hex was all red, Vision was yellow.
Yeah.
And I wonder if that is proof, if you will, that the Mind Stone inside Vision's head is effectively the Mind Stone being born out of itself.
Yeah.
And I think this goes back to the point that I made back when we saw Vision leave the hex, was that the fact that he left, when he was being pulled back in, he wasn't being pulled back in into parts. Like, we didn't see the parts of him left over and the fake bits in there. He was just being ripped to his very core, because all of him is a part of the hex. I do not think he'll be dead at the end of this series, as we'll get to in a minute. But just seeing him recreated there, I think was...
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting going through Westview for the first time, chronologically, because it was... Like, I don't know who it was. Oh, that was it. It was Pietro. It was a conversation on a Halloween episode with Pietro. Or Fietro. Fake-atro. Or whatever she called it. It was that conversation where he was like, well, you've given them the jobs and families are still together and stuff. Looking at the way that the town, especially in the Modern Family kind of episode, where it's more akin to modern day, the place looks better. It looked like it was a bit of a dive before she went there, and then now she's been there. I don't know whether it's going to stay that way afterwards, but she does seem to have created a better, at least economically, area than what was there before. So is the question going to be at the end, when this all ends, are these people going to be happier post this? It's a similar question to what we had with Thanos.
Is hostages? No, it's not. It's not, because they're hostages, and we've seen everyone who's breaking out freak out about it.
Yeah, but if they were to be completely out of it, as in completely back to their normal selves, but all of a sudden have this brand new, better place to live.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, if they're out, I don't think they care what world we're in. I think they'll take whatever they can get if they get to be free. Anyway, so that was how the hex was great. That was confirmation that the hex, as I have said, I've been pretty adamant about.
Yeah.
This was nothing to do with Mephisto. It was nothing to do with Nightmare. She created it because, and this was the thing, that the line that Quicksilver said is, what happened to the kids? She couldn't have done it because she didn't know where any of these things are. We still don't know where the kids are or went, but these things were just cluing to me that this had to be all Wanda. This had to be her creation and manifestation, and it's actually a very small number of things that we've seen Agatha has really been involved in.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. The things that Agatha has been involved in. Okay, so yeah, all Wanda. The one I think I want to touch upon is Quicksilver. So
he's not done.
It's not done.
Quicksilver. I stand it.
And this is the thing. It's not done. It's not properly explained because all Agatha says is she couldn't have used her actual brother because he's
dead.
He's got holes in him and he's in a different country. So where the hell's this person come from?
This has to be a person. I will be very...
It has to be multiverse. And it has to be a case of Wanda still brought him here, but Agatha doesn't know exactly where he's from.
It will upset me, and this would genuinely really frustrate me about this show, if he, and I said this before, if he is not in some way of acknowledgement of a multiverse. Yeah. Whether he is from the multiverse or not, I don't really care. If they do not acknowledge that this is Quicksilver from a different universe or something like that, I will it will go back to the feeling of cop-outs, which I wanted to come to because there has been a couple, and it will take us to our last bit. So I checked and I found a quote from Tanoia Paris where she says she's really excited for the people to find out who that aerospace engineer is going to be. She's really excited for people to see. Which is an awful thing to say if it's nobody, which is what it turned out to be. I think that's just not awful. She's a terrible person. Awful from a marketing perspective. If you've told people this is going to be someone, it's going to be real cool, get excited for it, and then it's literally no one. Great actress, she was fine. You know, nothing bad, not her fault. She's been put in a very awful position, and it's frustrated me that they've. I hope they haven't led down lots of paths. Just for the sake of deception. Yeah.
Because for me, there is still constant mention of Ralph. Now, I don't know if they're going to reveal anything in Doctor Strange and it's just going to be a case that the characters carry over or anything like that. But for me, that will be a bit of a cop-out.
I think Ralph may be Mordo. I think they may be in this together. She was sent to get Wanda's magic.
I think that'd be a really interesting way of doing it. I think because Mordo's been suggested to the two of us from a friend of ours, and I hadn't considered it.
Shout out.
Yeah.
To Tom.
Yeah.
I paused for emphasis.
Yeah, thank you very much, because I hadn't thought about this. I'd been so adamant that it was either going to be Mephisto or Nightmare or something like that. I hadn't even considered Mordo. And it's a really interesting theory that he could be behind this, or he could, he could be behind this, but he could be a part in this. It would very much make sense that he could be the actor that Paul Bettany wants to have worked with, because he's been around long enough. He's very good in that case as well. But also, he would fit perfectly into this world.
Yes. I think the thing that clinched it for me as being Mordo, and I'm now pretty confident in him, is that Agatha stole magic.
Yeah.
Which is, we know exactly what Mordo's plan was, and we have seen Mordo on the cast list for Doctor Strange for a couple of years now, I think, and just wondered, how on earth does Mr. No More Sorcerers somehow factor in to whatever's going on here in the multiverse? So it's because of Wanda, and because he is going to make an appearance in next episode.
So, okay, how does the link happen? What do you think happens?
He will appear in town.
Yeah.
Maybe he will take the hex down, something like that, because we know he's powerful. He will, or he's just been hiding away in the basement somewhere and he hasn't revealed himself yet. Mordo will make an appearance. And I think what's key to this is that this episode will not be 20 minutes.
No.
It will not be half an hour. It will not be 40 minutes. It will be over an hour long.
I think it will, because there's a lot left.
And if it is not, and you pull this off, Marvel, I shall take my glorious Stetson hat that I'm not wearing.
Hey, they don't know that.
I shall throw it in the air and yell, "Yeehaw, they did it." Because I'll be so impressed, because I don't believe you can pull this off in 40 minutes.
No, I think
there's a secret episode,
Yeah.
I'm not going to be happy. I'll be angry with Marvel if it's long. It's fine. Secret episode, no, you go too far.
Well, okay, but you've not answered the question.
Mordor, he'll appear in town. He'll come to town.
But what does he do? How does this end, and how does it go in? Why is Mordor still go and WandaVision?
Well,
why is this saga carrying on into Doctor Strange?
To get to that, we need to talk about one more thing, which is what Hayward's been doing, and I think possibly the best post-credit scene in terms of.
Oh, I've not seen the post-credits. There's a post-credit scene.
You absolute mug. Okay, we're gonna take a little pause.
No.
Post-credit scene. No. We'll pause. It's fine. We'll pause. So, this brings me on to a fantastic theory about the post-credit scenes because someone didn't check.
Yes, well, now I've seen it.
Yes. So, the post-credit scenes only appeared in episodes but took place in the 2000s, which is the era of 2008 where Iron Man made them popular. Which I thought, if that is the reason we've done it in every episode as a post-credit scene now, I'm like, chef's kiss. Oui.
Yes, because it's a very new thing, yeah.
Okay. Which brings us on to the post-credit scene where we see White Vision.
Yeah, that's cool.
By Hayward.
I have to admit, the first time I saw it, I immediately went Adaptoid, because if it was AIM, that's a brilliant cut, and, hats off to you. But we don't think it is now. Okay.
White Vision, I believe it to be from the West Coast Avengers, in a specific storyline where basically he loses his human part of his brain, and he's basically rebooted, which is what I believe this will be, pretty much with the Ultron-Jarvis combination, and thus make him... from what I can tell in the comics, he didn't completely forget, but he was far more distant, but that developed back. And I would like to see a similar storyline pattern here. If we see as evil White Vision, he's gonna do some fighting. He's gonna be evil. Oh, she had to kill him again. I'm just gonna be like, okay, I don't care.
Well, here's the thing. Yeah. And I've got two things I think I'd like to see with it.
Okay, before you get to what you'd like to see, I was gonna say, hopefully, this is a situation where something different happens to what normally happens.
Yeah.
The reason I think it's super important that he was brought back is because she had to use the Soul Stone magic. Because remember, Wanda's Chaos magic is powered by, not the Soul Stone, the Mind Stone.
Yeah.
It's powered by the magic, and he needed a sample of that to restart Vision. That Nat wasn't aware I was referring to. This is what I was referring to when Hayward said he has been putting him back together 1 billion times. This is what the result. This is why it took 5 years. This is what I don't know, happened after Wanda left. They made some pretty quick progress in 9 days or whatever it's been. But,
yeah, it's quite interesting because that could very easily have been Hayward's whole plan. That could have been the exact reason why they sent the probe in there in the first place. It's the reason why they tried to, because they thought, when they found out that something could come out and it was imbued with the radiation or the magic from Wanda, like Monica was, they could then use that to power Vision, and that it could have very much been that way. Now, here's what I want to... I could completely see, as much as I don't want to see it, same as you, I can completely see why, and the emotional beat, why the writers would go, right, we're going to introduce White Vision, and Wanda's going to have to kill him, because that will complete her journey, because it would make her suddenly go from having to, again, like she did in Infinity War, accept the loss. She'd have to learn to move on quite literally in this. What I want to see happen is, because there could be two visions in this, in the Hex. I want to see them merge.
Ooh,
I want to see Wanda use her magic to put the Vision into the actual body, and thus form the complete Vision. Because, as you say, White Vision basically loses his emotional side of things, which is incredibly important to the character of Vision in this story. In this series, the most we've seen from Vision, yes, he's able to do the magic side, well, not magic, the superhero side of things, like phasing through walls and using things, but the most important part to both Wanda and the series has been his emotional human side. The mixing of the two would create the complete Vision again, and thus birth Vision back into the universe.
If you want to get really deep into that idea, Hayward's project was called Cataract, and it would be very cool to then be like, so how Wanda beats Cataract is by giving full Vision back.
Yeah, there you go.
I like that. This is why Hayward has been tracking Vision in the field, because he's clearly giving us some signs as if he is vibranium, and that is what he wants, because he's not only got one lot of vibranium, he wants another lot, because he's a greedy.
Yeah, I still think he's a bit corrupted.
Yes. I'm not really sure what's going on with him, but I think it might just be a bit disappointing. I'm not sure that it is AIM. I would like it to be, but I have a feeling that at this point, because of the white Vision reveal, it's just going to be something more of a thing. We still don't know what happened to the Beekeeper. I would point that out too.
No, that's a good point. Now, I do have one final theory based around Mordo. I think Mordo appearing and trying to take the chaos magic is going to be, or him and Agatha teaming up to do that, is what's going to cause almost an overload. That's what's going to cause the ripple effect that's going to tear the fabric of the multiverse, which is why, and I think that's why the four of them are going to then head over to Doctor Strange. I think that will be the catalyst, because as we saw in Agatha, when someone tried to kill her, she was able to use that stream of magic to basically suck all the magic from these people. I think the same thing will happen with Wanda, in which they'll both attack her, and she will use that avenue to take back from them, and that will then make her overload. So that's how the multiverse will be completely ripped apart, because that amount of chaos magic just basically imploding under the pressure of itself. It will also cause the Hex to spread across the globe, and I still am sure, as much as I am a bit... I've got a few doubts in terms of whether this is going to introduce mutants or have an effect on mutants. I still think it would be a very easy way of Marvel explaining all the introduction of mutants all of a sudden by having this Hex spread across the globe, not change anything, but the energy from it spread across the globe. And I think the cause of the implosion will be both a incredibly powerful sorcerer of Mordo, who's, as you've seen, his whole shtick is trying to take the powers off of other sorcerers. He might do that to try and do it to Wanda. Wanda, obviously being full of chaos magic, is impervious to it and instead causes her to implode.
That would be pretty spectacular. I think what we can both agree on is that whichever way this finale goes down, it would be hard for them to mess it up. We have 6 days left before we get to see the Wandavision finale. So, everyone, make sure you leave your comments down in the description. Tell us what you think is going to happen. Tell us your prediction so you can copyright it, so you can claim it as your own and correct. If we have any comments of people predicting correctly, any messages, we will give you shout-outs and let the world know that you knew better. Check out our Instagram, Facebook, and our Twitter, as we've got a giveaway ending tomorrow at 6 p.m. Where you can win a Marvel t-shirt, either a Wanda or a Vision t-shirt, and you don't have to do very much, so it would be of great benefit. So, if that's all, we shall see you later on the Two Dudes Movie Podcast.
See you soon.